Hello, everyone, and welcome to the battle. We've seen the team builder, we've seen the announcement. It's time for the actual battle, part we've all been waiting for. So, team preview. As expected, Noah Swine's putting in a lot of work. Icicle Crash on the Tangrowth, Ice Shard the Garchomp, Superpower the Umbreon, Earthquake the Jirachi, I guess Earthquake the Galvantula. And then you can Ice Shard it to get rid of the Sash. Stuff like that. And Earthquake the Tentacle. So it has a great matchup as expected. Looking at the team, so does Whimsicott once Tentacruel goes down. So does Zapdos once Garchomp goes down, and Umbreon possibly as well. And so yeah, let's just get into this. I think I definitely have the team matchup, but I know Slick Rick is a very good player. He can make a lot of good predictions and bring a lot of good sets. So I'm definitely still nervous going into it. I'm not like, hey, I have team matchup, let's win this. I'm like, I have team matchup, I might be able to win this possibly. I'm really scared at first, basically. I always get a little nervous when it comes to league battles, and when it's for one as important as this, with my possibly the my position in the NPL on the line, I'm really nervous, going into this. So I see leads, Galvantula, and I'm not really sure what else, to be honest. I went back and watched some of his old battles for the NPL. They're not on his channel. I was given access to the Google Doc that has all the replays listed. So I went back and watched some of those, and he leads with Galvantula a lot. I didn't watch them all, but in the ones I did watch, he often led with Galvantula. So I'm expecting that to be the lead, and so I'm going to lead with Zapdos because that's my main stop to Galvantula with the Heat Wave and the Defog. So he leads with Jirachi, actually, and I'm like, okay, this might not be too bad. I can just go for Heat Wave, he won't expect it, I can get some good damage off. But he actually switches into the Umbreon. He's not switching into the Garchomp because he fears I might have HP Ice, and that's valid. Umbreon's a perfect switch in at this point. I'm not doing anything to it, as you can see. I decided not to go for Volt Switch because I didn't know, he might try to predict that and go into Garchomp, try to get some momentum. I wasn't really sure what he was going to do, and I could also maybe feign the fact that I didn't have it or something. I don't know. I just felt like the option was there to not go for it, and it's not a ton of damage anyway, so I feel like I benefited a little more from not going for it than going for it. It kind of kept him on his toes, and if he did decide to go into Garchomp, I could keep momentum by going into Keldeo. So Keldeo matches up well against this, and if he goes into Garchomp, then I have Icy Wind for it. Excuse me if I sound kind of weird. I think I've been getting a cold or allergies or something. So yeah, Keldeo matches up good against this or Garchomp, and he does stay in, just go for the taunt, which is fine. So now I can just go for the Secret Sword. I expected Tentacruel to come in, but I figured that it didn't matter, since Tentacruel doesn't really have any recovery. I can just whittle this down as long as I don't let Umbreon pass a wish to it. Just any damage on Tentacruel is good damage. So that's what I do. Get a decent 28%. and I'm like, okay, I should switch out. And so I had the option of switching into either Zapdos or Hydreigon. Um, Honestly, I'm not really sure why I chose Hydreigon. I think it was just for the momentum, the holes that Hydreigon can punch in his team. You know, like I said in the team builder, that was kind of what I designed it to do. He didn't bring Heatran, so he only has one switch into Draco. You know, I can Earthquake this thing. So I liked the idea of Hydreigon, but you know, in retrospect, Zapdos was the better choice, and you'll see why. I knew it got this move, but I didn't think of it until it was too late. Send in Shuriken, and I get Dazzling Gleams. So I'm off to a pretty bad start, 6-5. I have to go into my Spanish shoes, zapatos, and he just keeps going into Umbreon. So definitely just still scared to go into that Garchomp, which I'm okay with. You know, basically I don't want to reveal my final two moves, because if he realizes I don't have HP Ice, then he knows that Garchomp is a switch in. So, and right now I don't really need to reveal them. You know, they're Roost and Defog, which, you know, I'm at full health, so I don't need to Roost, and he hasn't set up any Sticky Web or Rocks, so I don't need to Defog. So just the way things are going now, he's just going to keep switching in Umbreon, and I can kind of whittle it down, keep momentum going with Volt Switch, and that's what I do. I go into Mamoswine because I have Superpower, and nothing really wants to take a Superpower and something. Like Tentacruel can switch into a Superpower, but it doesn't want to take an Earthquake. So I figure Superpower is my best play. He goes into Tangrowth, which I'm like, okay, this probably won't take a Superpower and then Icicle Crash, but boy am I wrong. He is max defense, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna kill me if I go for an Ice Shard, so I can't do that. I've got to go into my Spanish shoes. The reason I went into my Spanish shoes instead of Whimsicott was because I still have the sash on Whimsicott that I do not want to break. I want to have a switch in for Garchomp. He didn't bring Mienshao, he didn't bring Crawdon. Really surprised by that, but you know, right now the sash's only use is for Garchomp and maybe Jirachi, if an Iron Head would kill. But yeah, there's nothing I really do to Jirachi anyway, so I wouldn't really stay in. So that doesn't really make any sense. So yeah, right now I'm just trying to preserve the sash. But now I know he has Sleep Powder. I'm like, okay, the sash is not important anymore. Just, you know, Whimsicott is now my best switch in to Tangrowth because I do not have safety goggles on the Zapdos. So I go directly into Whimsicott. Don't care about the sash anymore. But he switches out because what I didn't realize was that Heat Wave does a lot to Tangrowth when it's not specially defensive and doesn't have an Assault Vest. You know, it does a lot. So I could have gone for that there, but this also ends up working out for me because Whimsicott has a very good matchup against Umbreon. So he probably expected me to go for the Heat Wave there, and this is kind of my not calcing that that made this happen. It wasn't like a switch like, ooh, if he goes into Umbreon, then this is good against this, and it's also good against Tangrowth. It just happened to work out that way. It's not really skill. As much as I wish it was, and you know, I could claim it was to the NPL people that are watching this video, like, oh, look at how good I am, I should be in the NPL, but no, I'm being honest. Yeah, that was not skill, that was just happened to work out that way. So now he's probably going to go into Tentacruel, but so I figured I'm going to just knock off, get rid of its Black Sludge or whatever it has. But he actually goes for Taunts, so that's like, I'm okay with that. I got rid of Umbreon's leftovers, so now I'm going to go for Moonblasts because he seems to want to stay in, but no, he goes into Jirachi. So he's kind of playing me right now. 2 prediction games in a row got incorrect. So now I'm going to switch into my Spanish shoes. Figure it's the best thing I have for this Jirachi. Don't really have much for it, to be honest. He goes for U-turns, so he's just keeping the momentum in his favor. Things are looking really good for him, but then he goes into Galvantula. And like I said, this thing was built to take on Galvantula, so I'm very happy with this. But he goes for Volt Switch, so I can't really Heat Wave it. I was trying to, but he's just going to go back into Umbreon. That's his dedicated switch to this. And I guess he doesn't want Garchomp to get burned either. That's another reason he's not switching it in, because if I go for a Heat Wave, it could burn it. So now I just go for the Volt Switch. I whittle this thing down. Go into my Keldeo to put some pressure. So now I know he's going to want to go into Tentacruel here, just because Keldeo can't touch it, and he has a wish to pass to it, because it doesn't get any reliable recovery. So I make the play, I go into my Mamoswine, and as expected, he does go into the Tentacruel. So now I can get some great damage off of the Earthquake, and he shouldn't be able to kill me with a Scald. He could burn me, which would be unfortunate, but getting rid of this Tentacruel is important. So I just go for the Earthquake, but he makes a smart switch into Tangrowth. I can't touch it with Icicle Crash. It does, I believe, about half to max defense Tangrowth, and he would just kill me with the Giga Drain, so I couldn't do that. Go into Whimsicott, my now dedicated switch into Tangrowth. Spanish Shoes doesn't really work like I want it to. Although, did I predict something there? I think I did. The Jirachi? Oh yeah, I think I actually predicted the Tentacruel to come in on Whimsicott, but Jirachi works too. I mean, basically either of those could have come in on Whimsicott, and Spanish Shoes works well against both of them. So yes, I did predict something there, I just forgot. It wasn't exactly what I predicted, but I still, that option was still there, that I kind of saw in my head. I expected him to go out into Tentacruel, but, I saw the option of Jirachi and saw that Zapdos worked for both of them. So, I'm just going to go for my standard play. No reason to over-predict. Just going for the Heat Wave. Nope, Volt Switch. Sorry. So as you can see, this Umbreon is now properly whittled down, and I can go get some momentum, get my Mega Evolve off with this Mega Aerodactyl. So he doesn't really have much of a switch in. Apparently this is a switch in, which, believe it or not, it is. It's crazy how bulky Tangrowth can be. I just go for Stealth Rocks because I know he doesn't have a switch in. In hindsight, he might have been able to wish there and get his HP back, which would have been annoying. But I figured rocks were important in the long run, because right now we're playing a huge switching game, where he was just switching Umbreon into Zapdos and switching Jirachi into Whimsicott, and switching Tangrowth into Mamoswine, and just playing this huge switching game. So I needed to get that chip damage off. I believe Tentacruel was fairly low, maybe, at this point. I don't remember. It might not have been. No, I think it's actually at full here because of the wish from Umbreon. But yeah, still the only, like, there are only 2 mons that Tentacle can really rapid spin on my team, so just having these rocks is good. And it was best to get them out when I wasn't in any danger. Foul play couldn't have killed me with the bulk that I had. Sorry I keep pausing it, but this was actually important. So I got a crit there on that Jirachi, and believe it or not, that small amount of damage, I believe it's like 11% more than it would have done. I did like 32%, and it would actually do like 21% or something. I did the math, but I forgot it. I'm bad. Sorry. But yeah, that 11% will come into play later. But I mean, you could argue it mattered, but you could also argue that it didn't, and I'll explain both when we come to that. So now he brings in Garchomp, and I'm just like, I predicted Yachi Berry, but if this Garchomp is gone, then Umbreon's weak enough to the point where Zapdos can just really, break through his entire team. So just getting rid of that Yachi Berry and trying to get rid of this Garchomp is of the utmost importance right now, even if it means losing my Mega Arrow. Although I shouldn't lose my Mega Arrow because of the bulk I have in HP. So I decided to go for the Ice Fang here. Actually, no. Okay, so he switched in, and I went for Earthquake on the Jirachi. That's also an interesting play. I'm sorry I keep pausing. This has a lot to cover. So, basically, he had Jirachi in. I went for Earthquake. I'm going to go ahead and reveal that he has Shuca Berry. And he could have lived that and gone for Iron Head, which I believe I would have lived thanks to my bulk. But I just find it interesting that he didn't go for that there, because he didn't really have much else that could deal with Mega Arrow. And I think if he had gotten the combination of Jirachi's Iron Head and this Garchomp damage that's about to happen here, I'll just go ahead and show that. He goes for Iron Head, which I live. Like, I take that really well considering I'm an Aerodactyl. But yeah, with the combination of Iron Head from this and Iron Head from Jirachi, I would definitely go down. So yeah, I probably would have used the Shuca Berry there. But yeah, it's really his decision overall. But the play just didn't really make sense to me. So here, he decides to stay in with his Garchomp, which again, doesn't make much sense to me. Like, I know Slickrick is a good player, and maybe he can explain his thought process to me later once he sees this video. But I felt like the better play was just sacking Umbreon at that point, because now with Garchomp gone, Zapdos runs through his team, like I said. And Umbreon was his switch into Zapdos, but it's weak. It's so weak to the point where it's not a switch in anymore, basically. Especially with rocks up. So I felt like it was the better play to sack that and try to keep Garchomp for later. But yeah, it was really his decision, and I can kind of see where he's coming from as well. The Garchomp isn't going to be doing much because Aerodactyl outspeeds it, Mamoswine has Ice Shard, Whimsicott outspeeds it and has Moon Blast. He still could have thought that Zapdos had HP Ice and could have outsped it, because I think by that damage he's probably defensive. I really don't know. I didn't check. I didn't feel the need to. But then Keldeo has Scarf and kills it with Icy Wind. So I can kind of see the idea of Garchomp isn't really going to be doing much for me, but his presence alone really keeps Zapdos at bay. So I feel like he should have kept it in the back at least for Death Fodder instead of Umbreon as Death Fodder in the back, because that's what they both are at this point. They're so weak. So yeah, that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, Garchomp goes down, and so this is where, you know, I'm starting to get some momentum back. It's 5-5, and my Zapdos is in a really good position to do work, as is my Mega Arrow. I have my dedicated switch into this Tangrowth. It's starting to get worn down a little bit, but should be okay. I believe I just go straight for the Moonblast here. No, I went for the knockoff. That's right. And the Cyndaquil is actually Assault Vest, so getting rid of that is nice. That means Zapdos can definitely do a lot more work now. And he goes for the Rapid Spin, because that was one of the ones he could Rapid Spin on. So, kind of my fault for letting that happen, but it's okay. You know, I've sort of got the momentum back in my favor by getting rid of Garchomp. Rocks aren't really necessary anymore. They're still nice, but not necessary. So now I have Zapdos in. Umbreon's not a switch in anymore. It lives on 4%. You know, with Rocks that would have died. So, but now, because it didn't die, I can go into something to get more momentum. And I could have gone into Mega Arrow here, but what would happen is he would just sack this off, and then he would just go into the Tangrowth. And not Tangrowth, that's it. Hold on. Yeah, wait, there was something he was going to go into. And I was like, no, I don't want him to do that, but Tangrowth works for this. Whatever. You know, either way, Mamoswine and Aerodactyl both get me momentum. They both match up really well against the rest of his team. And I decided Mamoswine was the better bet. Being able to save Arrow, and just the fact that he couldn't go out into I don't know what I'm trying to say, sorry. Let's just go on with the battle. So he sacks off the Umbreon. I kill it with Icicle Crash. So now there's no chance of it wishing back up and giving my Zapdos any trouble. Okay, so here is where, this is a very crucial point in the game. Crucial turn, to be honest. Not just point. This one turn is very big. So basically, I'm like, you know, so I do the calc, and even if he's max attack, I can live the Iron Head. Max attack adamant, I can live the Iron Head. And so I decide that I'm going to risk it, because he could go for like Zen Headbutt or something, and then I don't really have any switch-ins. You know, Zapdos and Keldeo are switching to Iron Head, but not Zen Headbutt. So I decide to risk the flinch thing and go for Earthquake. I did consider him maybe making a double into Tangrowth, but there just wasn't really a point in that since he just brought Jirachi out. If he wanted to go into Tangrowth, he would have gone into it to begin with. So, yeah, I go straight for the Earthquake. He goes for the Iron Head. It doesn't kill. It doesn't flinch. I go for the Earthquake, but he has Shuka, but he dies. And with that 11%, he would have most likely lived that hit. But the thing is, I have Ice Shard. So I don't think it mattered in the long run. You know, it all really depends on what he would have done from that point. If he would have predicted my Ice Shard and gone out into something, you know, like Tangrowth, for example, and you know, kept Jirachi around to do damage later, but you know, then it kind of gets outsped by everything else on the team, except like Zapdos, which it doesn't hurt too much anyways, thanks to my max HP. So yeah, it didn't really matter in the long run, but do hate how it happened. But yeah. So that was a big turn, you know, and you can also argue that, you know, I got hacked by, you know, him not flinching with Iron Head, because that is technically in his favor, but it's also, like, it's kind of the opposite of how you treat hacks. Normally you think hacks is like, oh, he got the flinch, or, you know, I got flinched, or, you know, you don't really think of it the other way around, because he has a better chance of getting it. You know, I don't know. It's really how you look at it. And, you know, I risked it, and it paid off. If he had gotten that flinch, then I'd say Mamo probably would have gone down, and I would have gone into either Zapdos or Keldeo, and then just, you know, apply pressure from there. I mean, yeah, probably Zapdos. He could Zen Headbutt me, so I might go into Keldeo to be sure I can outspeed. Yeah, I'd probably go into Keldeo, and he would switch into Tentacruel. And yeah, the battle would just play out entirely different, and it's really hard to know what the outcome would have been if Jirachi had lived and Mamoswine had gone down. But, you know, that's just Pokemon. That's just how it goes. You get the flinch sometimes, you don't get it other times. You know, you can't say this mattered definitely, or you can't say it didn't matter definitely. You really don't know how the battle would have happened, because the moves we made from there would be changed. So yeah, this time he goes out into Galvantula. I decide I don't really need Mamo anymore. I'll break the potential Sash with Ice Shard and just let it go down to Buttonless. So then, now that the Sash is broken, I can apply a lot of pressure with Mega Aerodactyl. And yeah, that's what I do. Go for Aerial Ace, and it does just under half. So, you know, this does have a chance to kill from here, but I really don't want to risk it, because he could kill me with a Giga Drain and then do some fancy switches and get some Regenerator back, and I just lose Arrow for like 50% damage that he just heals up. So I decide to be patient, just switch in to my Zapdos. As he goes for the Giga Drain, and I'm free to just go for the Heat Wave, because if he goes into Tentacruel to take it, then I just go for the Volt Switch, and, you know, basically I just make the safe plays at this point, and I can win the game. I go for the Heat Wave, does some damage, you know, as Heat Wave does, and then I just go for the Volt Switch on here as he goes into Tangrowth. You know, or no, he doesn't. He goes into Galvantula. Sorry. So yeah, now that he's into that, I'm going to bring in Mega Aerodactyl. Because every time this thing comes in, it's applying so much pressure, basically getting a kill. And, you know, because Tangrowth has a little bit less HP, you know, I'm going to be able to kill it this time with the next Aerial Ace. And it's also, I did 49% with that one as well. So if I had gone for the Aerial Ace and been risky and gotten that same roll, it would not have killed, and I would have lost my Mega Aerodactyl. So it's very good that I played it patiently. And so he knows that this next Aerial Ace is going to kill, and Tangrowth is his best chance of being able to come back, and he has to try to regenerate it, basically. So he sacks off his Tentacruel here. And then he's going to go back into Tangrowth. So now he can force me out again because I cannot one hit him anymore, thanks to Regenerator. So I just go out into my Spanish shoes again because he seems to be too afraid to go for sleep powder now that I've been switching Whimsicott in. So I kind of started switching it up a little bit since you know, Spanish shoes has a better matchup for. Actually, they both have a pretty good matchup, to be honest. But yeah, I just decided to switch it up. So this thing can heat wave both of the things that are left. He goes for Volt Switch, and he has to go into Tangrowth, of course. And I'm going to heat wave that thing, but it misses. So, you know, some return hacks that really didn't matter. You know, I'd still say that the hacks that helped me was a lot more than the hacks that hurt me. You know, again, I can't say whether it decided the outcome of the game or not, but it could have. You know, it might have been a difference in differential or something, you know. But yeah, enough talk about that. I go for another heat wave, and it does a lot more than I expected it to. He goes for sleep powder, and I'm just like, okay. I don't need to wait for this to wake up. I can just go out into Whimsicott and outspeed the Galvantula and kill it. And then, you know, since the Tangrowth is defensive and not specially defensive, I'll be able to kill that too. And that is going to be the game. Whimsicott is going to clean up the final 2 months, and I'm going to get a 4-0 against Slick Rick Nixon. Now, if he had brought things like Mienshao and Crawdaunt, this game could have gone a lot differently. And, you know, it, like I said, I don't know how the battle would have gone, because every play would be different. That's what I love about Pokemon is, you know, one play can be so important and affecting and just change the rest of the match and how it would go. But yes, I get a 4-0 against Slick Rick Nixon and the Chicago Sacred Fire. And, you know, honestly, his team didn't really have much for, Mega Arrow. And, you know, once Garchomp went down, he didn't really have much for Zapdos. Well, okay, once Garchomp went down and Umbreon was weakened, he didn't have much for Zapdos. Mamoswine did not play the part I expected it to. It still got 2 kills and applied a lot of pressure, but I would definitely say that Zapdos and Mega Aerodactyl did a lot more work than Mamoswine when I was expecting Mamoswine to be the real MVP. Also Whimsicott getting 2 kills at the end there. Unexpected there. And, you know, being a great switch in to Tangrowth and Umbreon. Keldeo did not really perform much this game, but really that was because Tentacruel and kinda Tangrowth just kind of stopped it in its tracks. It just wasn't really ever needed either when, you know, I had so many other wall breakers that could just punch through his team, and yeah, that's what they did. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I will be bringing more NPL stuff to this channel. Actually, I've been told that most likely I will be facing another person who's trying out for the NPL, or maybe another coach, just depends. So there might be more tryout battles in the future, you know, and I'll be hopefully doing team builders and battle videos for those as well. I've also been debating on whether to maybe start up Nostalgia at Noon for like a temporary thing until the NPL starts. So that's something you might see and might not. I'm debating it. But yeah, until then, it might be a while before my next video, but I am back. Don't think I'm not. I'm coming back. It just depends on when the NPL season starts, basically. And so until then, goodbye.